Okay, everybody. All right. We are Unit 4, Lesson 9. I'm trying something new today, so it might be a little weird. Might be a little not as smooth as all the other ones are. You know, they're so smooth. So we're talking about logs and graphing logs, constructions, the inverses. So we're on exercise 1. And I already wrote this on the board, so I'm going to talk as I fill in the tables, and you can fill in the tables as you listen. So the top graph is the one y equals 3 to the x power, and you can find that by putting it right in your calculator. And I underline that inverse because the bottom one, the y equals log base 3 of x, remember that's the inverse. Okay, so we're talking about the log and its inverse. So the top one, like I said, the table's done. And here's the bottom one, which is the inverse, where you just switch the x and y. Remember, that's what you do with an inverse. And then I go right over to the graph, because that's the second part, where it says graph, both of them on a grid given, label with equations. So I always start with the easiest points. So I put 0, 1, 1, 3, and then I'm doing 2, 9. And then I went to the -1, 1/3, the -2, 1/9. I put those on the grid. And then I drew the line connecting them and make sure you have arrows. Then the same thing with the next one. I started with 1, 0, then 3, 1, and then 9, 2. And then the 1/3, -1, and the 1/9, -2. So, and those could be approximate. They don't have to be perfect. And again, draw the lines with the arrows. Okay, and that didn't work out too bad. Now, the one thing you have to do is you have to make sure you label them. So this is this is y equals 3 to the x, and this is y equals log base 3 to the x. And every time that you have more than one, I think I shifted this. Yeah, I shifted this. Anytime you have more than one graph, okay, one line on a graph, you have to make sure you label it. So that was part B. Now state the domain and range. So y to the 3x is the first one, 3 to the power of x. So my domain, okay, so all your possible x values. So that is, and it says set builder notation. So you have to have your x such that -infinity less than x less than infinity. Okay, like that. My range, which are your y values, is y such that y is greater than 0. Okay, so that's your domain and range. Now, since the log base 3 of x is the inverse, you switch the x and y. So the domain is still x, the range is still y. But what happens is the range becomes the domain. So it's -infinity less than y less than infinity. And then the range that x is greater than 0. So that's how the with inverses. To sketch the graph of log axis, label the x-intercept. So, and we put the log in, remember, just do log, don't worry about putting the base 10 because it's understood. Enter, there it is. Now be careful, okay, because it continues to go down. All right, it looks like it might stop. So we're going to go to the x-intercept. So the x-intercept is 1, 0. If we scroll up, there is no y-intercept. Okay, so that's why they didn't ask for one. So we're going to go to the graph, and what is it? It's 1, 0. So 1, 0 right there. Okay. But we want to see what also is going on here in the table, and you can see Okay, so look, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 only goes to 1. So 10 goes to 1 right about there. Okay? So what happens is this is going to go down this way and never touch the y-axis, and this is going to increase ever so slightly. You saw it was going up by decimals. Okay? So our domain, okay, again, which are the x values, are x values such that x is greater than 0, because it's all these values here. Now, it's even though this is going up ever so slightly, this is still going up. So it is negative infinity less, and that's your domain and range. Okay, now when we get to this one, okay, a multiple choice, they give you a graph. You can go right to your graph and plug it in, worst case scenario. Okay, so worst case scenario, I plug right into your calculator. So I have the log, okay, control log, and I'm going to do base 3, okay, there's your base 3 of x plus 2, and then get out of those parentheses, minus 1. Okay, enter. And then you can go to your table, control T. Okay, now what values are you looking for? All right, when you go back to look at it, you're looking at a value of negative 1, 0. You're looking at a value of 1, 1, and a value of negative 2, negative 1. Those are the key values you're looking for. So when you go to look at the table, okay, you can see we have a 1, 0 for this first one. Clearly, that is not going to work. Now, what also happens is if we have this as a normal graph, okay, a normal log graph, we just looked at one that looked like this, okay? All right, I think it's supposed to go through here, okay? We just saw that. So what happens is the graph is shifting to the left. So if it's shifting to the left, that means that inside I will have to be adding, okay, because that's the opposite, okay? So I'm adding a value, it shifts it over to the left. So we could eliminate this one right here because that would shift it to the right, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to plug in the next one. So I'll plug in choice 3, so I tab it. Well, I got to get out of here first. I'll pause this. And just like that, you guys didn't even know I was gone, okay? So there's your log base 2 of x plus 3 minus 1, okay, which is choice 3. So I'm going to enter it. Okay, there's the graph of it. And then I'm going to go to the table, control T, and I'm going to go over because it's the second one. All right, so look, there's my 1, 1. Yes, that's true. And now I want to see what negative 1. Negative 1, 0, yes. And then, no, don't be confused. That negative 2 undefined is the first one. So negative 2, negative 1 is the third coordinate that works. Okay, so that's why when you go back over here, it is choice 3. Okay, and you just plug them in. Okay, now the fact that finding the logarithm of a non-positive number, negative 0, is not possible. So that's what's happening here. Anytime we have a negative number, we can't take the log of it. So therefore, it is not going to be in the domain. Now, when we look at exercise 4 and it says determine the domain of the function, all we're looking at is what's inside the parentheses. So whatever's inside the parentheses has to be greater than 0. So 3x minus 4 has to be greater than 0. So I add the 4, so I have 3x greater than 4. X is greater than 4/3. Okay, so that would be your domain. And if they wanted in set builder notation, x such that x is greater than 4/3. I will not be that picky as long as you have this shown. Okay, if they're talking about the domain, I'm going to be okay with that. Okay, and then we'll fine tune the set builder as we get more comfortable with this. So what they also will do here is they will also bring into average rate of change. And remember, the average rate of change is the slope. So if you want, you can always plug in values depending on how easy they are to find. So we go to the calculator, and I'm going to get a new graph here. And this graph is log x. That's it. So it's just log of x. enter. Okay, so there it is. And I'm going to control T it. Okay, so control T, go here. So we want to find the interval 1 to 10. Okay, so that means that you need to look at 1, 0, and then we go to 10, and 10, 1. Okay, so 1, 0, 10, 1. Okay, remember, rise over run, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And it's 1/9. Okay, that's the slope. Now, when you get to the next one, I would not scroll all the way down to 100. What we're going to do there is you can either just plug right in or use your such that. So control log, and what is it, 100? Now, some of you might already know this. What's it going to be? It's going to be 2. Okay, so we have 1, 0, and 100, 2. So that's what you have there. Okay, so again, y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1, so you get 2 over 99. Okay, so what happens here is our slope is getting smaller, okay, as x gets larger. And you can kind of see that from the graph, okay, because what we have here is we have a slope. It could be like this, okay, or look, it could be like that, okay, or as it gets larger and larger, look, it's getting more and more, how do you say, flat almost, okay, horizontal, and that's what will happen with the log, okay. Well, so that was it. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll leave a little music here, all right, and all right, enjoy your day.